Hey guys, it's Aviation, welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing some bush trotting in the brand new freeware release here, the Cubcrafters MonsterNX Cub. So this is the nose wheel variant of the Cubcrafters Cub. Now, this one has been done by GotGravel as a modification of the new Asobo NX, which means it's essentially the same model, but with a lot of realistic differences. Now, this one, of course, comes with a Lycoming 393i engine, which is one of the biggest you can actually get installed in this from the factory, and it will basically give you a cruise speed of up to 130 knots, maximum altitude of 14,000 feet, and a range of 750 nautical miles, which will get you anywhere you realistically want to go. Apparently, you can get off the ground at 120 feet and land in 80. This is a proper bush beast. Now, the landing speed will be, or distance will be partly down to the fact you can stand on the brakes, with it being a nose wheel aircraft. Not a tail wheel cub like usual, which is unusual. Oh god, that's terrible wording. Now, this also has nitrous injection as an option, which is part of why it's a monster. You've got 3 minutes of total nitrous, and it hulks the 215 horsepower engine up to 315. Use it in bursts, apparently, because it will overheat your engine oil temperatures very quickly. 10 seconds it's talking about, so it's an emergency get out of jail free card, not a cruise option really for you. Now, they recommend using this with the working title G3X mod, which I do have, and it's got rid of all the 500 terrain crap in there as well, because it's a bush plane. You wouldn't have that. They've added indications to work with that working title mod, things like NOS reserve, your brake setting, fuel imbalance things, all these extra actual features it would have, it has now got. It only comes with the same one livery, but there are ones being released, of course, and it comes in as a whole new aircraft in your hangar. There'll be a link in my description to get this. Now, weirdly enough, most of my planes I've flown in the bush in the older days of P3D and FSX have been nose wheel aircraft, 206s, 207s, things like that. I've flown my tail draggers, I love tail draggers. In this sim, most of my bush planes have been that, because there haven't been the options for nose wheel ones. So let's just see how much we could abuse this thing together, shall we? Now, I think my head tracking is... There we go, my head track is turned on. This is where your head would realistically be in the aircraft, which is a nice change. Now, of course, the only real difference in the cockpit here, other than our working title display, is right there, NOS. Let's not use that too quickly, shall we? And, of course, one of the things when you load this in is comes with a thing every bush plane needs, a cup holder. It's a bit of a meme on the GotGravel Discord. We all joke about how every aeroplane needs a coffee cup holder. In fact, one of the freeware planes coming out had a coffee cup holder specifically added and a coffee cup, just because the airliner pilots and all their reprints of coffee cups, they don't need them. We, the bush pilots, we need the coffee cups. Now, we're here at Johnson Creek, and we're going to be doing a little bit of flying back and forth here. We're going to be heading over to Pistol Creek. We've flown out of there in the past, we've not landed there, and we're going to do some practice and see just what this thing can do. That is the whole goal of today. We are practicing. Now, sadly, it being a default aircraft, we still can't open the doors, which makes me endlessly sad for many obvious reasons. Now, we'll get our fuel selected. We've got our battery and avionics are switched on here. Lights are correct. Now, this will also handles the avionics here, and the G3X can actually handle your pitot heat, and it automatically does take care of that based on temperature, so that's useful. Let's crack the throttle here. Brakes are on. Let's go for a start. Did it register this is in, or did I turn the fuel off by accident? I can never work it out with some of these Asobo aircraft bases. Yep, we turned the fuel off, so we know that works, at least. Okay. Looking good here. Should have yelled clear prop, but it's a simulator, and no one's walking around, and if they are, they deserve it. Right, let's get ourselves out of here. Now, you'll notice this thing immediately has a ton of power. This is my first time getting in this, so I am already feeling that. And just, I was just the throttle cracked, it started to move. So this is our runway here. Now, we've got about 4 knots from 319, which is basically a direct crosswind to the, from the right, from the left, from that way. That's left. I know my left and my rights. We should be good. Okay, so I'm going to go for a short field takeoff here, which means we're going to try and get ourselves up to power early. We're going to release, and we're going to pull back. We're going to pop flaps, up into ground effect, pull flaps in. Okay, it does that quite nicely. Let ourselves level off here, gain some speed, then we can focus on altitude. We're at 70 knots, we can pull back and climb up and out here. Now, it's still winter in Idaho, and I'm filming this at 2 AM, so I can't use live weather. Otherwise, it would be the middle of the night, even in Idaho. It's 2 AM in the UK, so it's past 10, 11 o'clock, I believe, in Idaho right now. Unfortunately, live weather is not something I can realistically use, but it's beautiful nonetheless. Okay, we're powering back here, making sure we're managing what we've got. And we have a constant speed blade on this, so we need to make sure we manage that as well. Get my numbers right here. So Johnson Creek is right there. What we're going to do is, this is a nice big open runway. So I'm going to turn around here, we're going to go back in for a landing before we head off towards Pistol Creek. So I'm going to bring it back in the way we took off. It's not because of the wind direction, it's because, as you saw behind the airport there, there's a massive cliff. Approaching down that is really not a wise idea. So I'm powering back on the engine here. We're just over 100 knots really, 110 nearly in the turn there. This thing has a lot of thrust to it, which is not what I expected. I expected it to be a little bit slower. Okay, we're doing good here. So I'm just going to let ourselves come past this crest. We'll just take out to the left a little bit, turn around and drop some altitude here. Now we're about 60 knots. This thing is good for the speed right now. We could drop it down to the low 40s before we really need to worry about stalling. And we have a lot of flaps to play with as well, so let my speed lead off here. So we're under 50 knots, or approaching about 54. Let it turn around. There we go. Get some power in here to maintain our altitude at this sort of position. And we're going to come in on what's essentially a base turn here. So we'll stick close to the right hand side of the canyon. One notch of flaps. Turn her in. Now I'm going to have to drag this in a little bit, so we're just going to use the flap power and our aircraft here. I'm not high enough up to really let it alpha in, which is what I'd like to do. I'm pretty low on power right now, so I'll actually do that. We'll have a very low energy approach here. Nose is going to be pretty high. You'll see the wings actually upwards rather than pointing down towards the runway. Our nose is actually quite high. You're going to hear the stall horn. Don't be afraid. This is a pretty normal thing in a bush plane on the approach. You're not having to worry about that stall horn. This isn't some Cherokee on approach to your local $100 hamburger field. You're going to hear the stall horn with an approach like this. That's completely normal. Nose is pretty high here as we're coming in. A little power to change our impact location. We're dropping down. Power to arrest the descent. Hard on those brakes because we can. That was actually pretty good. I should really retract my flaps whilst doing that, but I wasn't thinking about it at the moment. Let's take a look outside here. So, that's what we used. It's not 80 feet, but it's not bad for a first landing attempt. I wasn't quite sure what the plane would do, so I wanted to give it a bit of margin. So, yeah, we did what we did. In fact, we've got so much room here we could take off straight, which, again, that's why we don't land this direction, that huge cliff. I'm pointing at it, like you can see that, but we're looking at it, so that's fine. But this is why we don't come in that way. That hill's pretty big. It's going to mess with your landing approach pretty hard. But with our takeoff distance in this aircraft, I have enough speed that I can get up. That was clean, no flaps. And my departure can be out to the left here, so we follow the river valley. Not really too worried about that. So in an aircraft this capable, we have got a go-around option here. In some bigger planes that can make it into this runway, you don't have the option, so you've got to be careful. So we're going to follow the river around here. Now, it does feel very condensed in the cockpit, but this is where the cockpit viewpoint, shall we say, has been moved to. It's actually more accurate this way. This is what it would be like in this aircraft. So this is where your head would be. You're very much visibility out the window here. You're not, you know, this... Oh god, I need to try and move my head to the right place like this. Where you're down, got the controls in your view. You're not really flying with those. That is not the point. So what am I thinking of this so far? This is a really fun plane. It is responsive, it's capable, and very willing to stand on the brakes. The nose gear is pretty high, the prop is not going to worry about striking when it compresses too hard. You also don't want to slam it in too hard, but you do want to give it some grunt when you are braking down there. This is why Cubs are often described as strapping on a pair of wings. They really are one of those aircraft that just does what you ask it to do. We're probably going to try for an off-airport landing somewhere along the way as we head towards Pistol Creek, which should be just ahead of us. We're not going to follow the river this segment. We'll go over this pass, and it will hopefully be just around to the right. So we'll have a look for a little opportunity to put down somewhere and see what this thing will do in some rough and ready conditions. Wind's very calm right now with the preset I'm running just because it's nighttime and I don't want to actually have to run nighttime here. The lights have been upgraded, by the way, to long throw white LED beams, so they're going to give you a lot of power there. They're on, but you can't see anything, of course, because it's daytime. That tends to be a thing, you know, a feature, if we call it that. Alright, not a lot of options down here with this being so tight with the hillsides. But I'm going to keep my eyes open, see if anything really kind of screams at me. This would be a great place to land. Yeah, no, Cubs are often described as strapping on a pair of wings. You strap the Cub on and go flying. This viewpoint is more like what you would expect in that. You're very much out the window, not looking down at the controls. Let's pull the RPM back a little bit here, measure ourselves off. Oh, hello. That nearly hurt us a little bit. I was just leaning out the mixture a little bit. Went a little bit further than I wanted it to. I don't think we're going to have, knowing the area, we're not going to have many more options that we can use for off-airport stuff, so the Forestry Service strip on the way in might be our best option for a planned approach, which is why I'm going to start my slowing down now. Should be just off there to our left. There it is. Now, knowing this terrain, I know I can come in along the ridgeline here, use this as a guide to lead me around the corner. Okay, this is one where I definitely will want to use the high alpha approach into this. We've got trees and a bit of a crest on the approach on this end. So I'm going to hold the aircraft artificially high. Just look down there, look at my wing. It's back slightly. My nose is up rather than pointing down at the runway. Going to full flaps here. Now, you're going to see us descending pretty quickly. In fact, we're going to be on the stall horn again. Pretty sharpish. Just going to hold that nose where I want it to. You're not in too much danger of stall spin, but you're just going to be careful about managing the edge. It's about knowing where to find that edge and hold on to it. A little bit more power. Keep the nose higher. Can I see appropriately? I can. Power back off. Let ourselves drop in here. We're okay. It's a narrow strip here. We're going to aim for the dirt as best we can. Hold the aircraft up. We're creating a lot of drag here, which is holding ourselves back. Power on. Flaps coming up as we go. Brakes on. And that was a pretty short one, I think. Let's take a look behind ourselves here. All of the dust kicking up there off the road. I think we touched down about here, or in this sort of area, really, based on what I recall from the landing impact point. We were past the trees, the road curves in. Not 80 feet, but we could improve on that. We're going to have Pistol Creek up the road, so we'll be able to take care of that right now. Again, with this sort of takeoff roll, we don't need to worry about that. But let's go for a more, should we say, realistic, normal takeoff. Not realistic's the wrong word. Let's go for a more conventional takeoff, shall we? So we've got a notch of flaps in there. Power up, hold the brakes here. In fact, you know what? We're going to go for a nitrous takeoff. I want to see what this does. 350 horsepower. And I'm already off the ground. Nitrous off there. Nose down. Build some speed up here. Flaps in. If you're going to try and take off short, try and get your aircraft's nose down. Try and get yourself into a position where you're flying, you're airborne, and you're working on building speed. Because building speed is what will keep you aloft. If you try and keep climbing, straight away, that's where you're going to end up in a stall situation on takeoff, which is probably the worst one. Right, let's pull this back. Get ourselves sorted out here. RPM's quite high on this model of engine. You're going to be very hard pressed to square it off, and we're under power here with the altitude, so that would be my 24 square I'm looking at right now. And we're going to overfly Pistol Creek and talk about what we're going to do for this approach as we get there. Because Pistol Creek's a good one, but it's a relatively easy field, so I want to use it as an example to talk about here. So there it is just ahead of us. We've got the road leading in just before us on the riverbank. So our approach here is already occluded by the side of the valley. The other side also has a valley approach, so this would be a down the river and sling it in sort of angle. Which isn't a bad approach, it's a much more fun one. As you see here, a lot of grass, wide but dirt still. So it's one to keep our focus as we come in for this approach. Some houses and stuff around here, but it's a pretty chill field, lots of space. There's no real obstructions on each end, but it's definitely something we have to be aware of. Alright, let's get some power on here and get ourselves turning around. Flying into the sun will not be ideal for us. The nose down here as we turn. We should have plenty of room with the way the valley side is. Notice how quiet this G3X is. It's lovely. No whining like a lot of the default Cubs do that have the same glass paneling where it's going terrain, terrain, 500. I know. I'm spending most of my flight in those situations. You don't gotta tell me. That looks fun. I just spotted something interesting. We're spinning around here. I'm gonna go check this out before maybe making an approach up on this mountaintop. I might have spotted my off-airport attempt. Is it very steep? Yes. Is it broad and relatively flat? Yes. Okay, we're trying this. YOLO. Or YOFO. You only fly once. You know, some people made a joke the other day on the Idaho video with the Kit Fox about fly anywhere you want, but don't fly like me. It would look great on a coffee cup. I'm actually thinking of making a series of, should we say, aviation-related merch. Now, these aren't going to be typical YouTuber stuff of, here's my brand slapped on a Teespring clothing item. I'm actually going to try and make some stuff you guys would actually like to wear. It will help support the channel, which will be fantastic. But I'm going to try and make stuff that's actually just aviation-themed and fun. Things like fly anywhere you want, but don't fly like me. Things like YOFO, you only fly once. Hopefully, that sort of thing. I think it'd be fun to have some interesting, funny, aviation-related apparel to try for. Not that the market's unsaturated, but you know what? I think I'm a reasonable graphic artist. We'll have to see how it goes. Okay, so let's get our nose up here. Let ourselves sink in here. We've got flaps going in. Should hopefully start as sinking down here. Let's put our stuff forward. Yes, the altitude is correct. I'm doing this at 5,700 feet here, so... Okay, we're a little bit weather vaned. Should be able to correct that, no problem. Okay, we're slow enough, and I'm going to have to drag us in here, but this is looking steeper and steeper as I approach, but it's wide enough. So I'm going to try it. This is looking stupid. Oh, bugger. Stupid's the right word. What can I analyze from that? Way too steep. Way too steep. I was coming in a little bit fast. My angle wasn't good enough. I need to put more speed on to arrest that. So let me actually get ourselves off the mountainside here. Taking off's no problem in this sort of angle. It's actually really, really easy. This plane builds up speed so quickly. It's not even funny. Yeah, that was too steep. Probably possible in something a little bit... Well, no, probably possible in this. In fact, you know what? I'm going again. I think I know what the magic number was for that. I won't let it beat me. For those of you who say, why don't you fly with crash detection on? You should have crashed and restarted. This is a simulator. I'm a grown-up. I could tell myself when I screwed up. Right now, we're playing in the bush. We're testing out this aircraft, seeing what it'll do. And we are grown up enough to know that I made a mistake there that caused me to crash. My rate of descent to rest was not high enough. So, it ground looped. My fault, entirely. Is this impossible? No, not at all. Okay, let's do this again. Little slower this time. Little slower. Have to arrest the descent a little earlier and a little bit more stringently because the slope will rush up to meet me. And I think the bottom part is slightly lower grade, so we might be okay there. Come on, that's it. Level out. Nailed it. This is way too steep to land on. Absolutely ridiculous, if anything. The aircraft's engine won't even power up this. Will it with NOS? Yes, it will. The engine hates me, but it will go. This is ridiculous. I should not be landing on this. Yeah, this is stupid. Don't do this. I'm at full throttle and on NOS. Right, let's turn that off there. We're cresting over here. Let's keep the power up. Come on, crawl. Piggy crawl, piggy crawl. No, NOS back on. Let's go. This is a wonderful feature for doing stupid things. It's leveling out here, so we should be good. Let's turn around without ground looping this baby. Look at this. This is stupid. I love it. Okay, flaps in but one notch. You know what? I'm not even going to give it throttle. In fact, engine's off. My engine's off. What about you? We don't need engines. Engines are for schmucks. I wonder. This'll be impressive if I can nail this. This'll be really impressive if I can nail this. Will this baby do it? Oh, this'll be impressive if we can do it. This'll be impressive. I am so fast right now. I am way too fast right now. Flaps are going out for drag here. Oh, stopping will be interesting. Stopping will be interesting. No, we did it. This thing's a blast. I love it. Oh, wait, I can't go forward throttle because my engine's off. This thing is a machine. I love it. This is a low-down, stupid aeroplane. It is rare that an aeroplane puts a smile on my face like this thing, but it really does. This is an absolute hoot to fly. Oh my gosh, I love this. I hated the stock NXCub. It just felt like a weak, incapable cub. It was like a Cubcrafters cub, but it lacked the performance you got from it being a tail dragger. This thing takes a massive Chevy big block, and in aeroplane terms, crams it into a gremlin, and sticks a massive blower on top of it. It's just stupid. Not only have you got 215 horsepower, but you can bang it up to 315 there for absolutely insane abilities. This thing is just wrong, but in all the right ways. I don't know if you can call this an aircraft review, but there are very few times where, don't you dare come on that runway. There are very few times where I will land with a massive smile on my face. And this is one of them. This thing is fun. This makes the bush a playground. And if you're finding tail draggers hard, being a nose wheel aircraft with tricycle gear, it makes it so much easier. Because you don't have to worry about that. You can just stamp on the brakes and not worry about tipping over and looking like an idiot in front of your friends. Well, we're going to pull up here at the cabin. Should turn the engine back off again, shouldn't I? Ah. What do I think of this thing? This is a lot of fun. This takes what was a mediocre aircraft. It's not quite the Bush League Legends version of the NX they did for themselves. That one was actually really, really good. The stock Asobo one was, it's alright. But this thing's insane. Actually, before we do go, let's go back inside here. Let's change it to nighttime and show you what those landing lights look like, because I don't even know what they look like. Oh, that's dark. That's real dark. Let there be light. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. That's a lot of light, actually. See what this is like outside. Yeah, big LED lights there. They're throwing down a reasonable wide splash, actually. That's pretty broad. You've got it fanning out to here. You've got good peripheral vision. If that truck gets out of the way, I'll do a hot taxi and see what it feels like. Or I'll do a bit of a hop. Oh god, thank you, simulator. And we'll touch down again. That was that lag spike. I didn't really want to play with that, but that's not bad at all. I like that. Okay. Ah, you're all blind again. I apologise. I don't apologise, but I apologise. It's free. Go download it. Go fly, go do stupid. You'll have fun. And you know what simulating aeroplanes often lacks? It's fun. Yes, people think aeroplanes are serious business and you can't have fun. Go take a bush plane out and you'll have a blast. If you want a good introduction to bush planes, GotGravel may have provided you exactly the thing you need to fly to enjoy it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.